Company in
In our rural communities, EMS volunteers stand ready to help every day. Volunteers are ordinary people performing extraordinary acts. Many of these heroes lack access to essential health insurance for themselves and their families. It's time to give back. Utah has a new program that offers no-cost medical, dental, life, and long-term disability insurance to our rural EMS volunteers. Families may also be eligible for low-cost options. Become a licensed EMT, AEMT, or paramedic, and you and your family may be eligible. Visit utahcounties.org to learn more. That's utahcounties.org.
For more tips on strengthening your family, visit family.mormon.org.
Call 1-888-4-ALANON. Al-Anon Family Groups.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And good morning on a beautiful day. I don't know if there's enough adjectives to be able to describe just how gorgeous it is
so
outside
nice.
on
and
this
it has
Saturday
been for
morning.
the last 3 days.
It has just been amazing. Oh, it's great to have you along with us for the Garden Guide here on KVNU as we're talking all things lawn and garden this morning with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. Glad to have you in the studio, Mark. And yeah, you know, this is the time of year. It just doesn't get any better.
Oh, so nice. I just had to ride my bike down this morning because it's just like, just when the sun's out and the temperature's like this, it just, you got to take advantage of it while you can. Yep. It's going to rain next week, so.
Yeah, we're kind of watching that storm that's going to be coming in.
So I am taking advantage of it this weekend.
Good.
So I was out in the garden last night, and potatoes are coming up.
Oh, nice.
And the beets and the carrots are coming up. That's only been 10, 12 days.
Since you put them in.
Since we planted, yeah. So they are up quick. So up very quickly. So I'm excited about that. So the little rainstorms we've had coming through has really helped because that's saturated the soil, kept it moist. I have had to water the carrots twice since we planted them, other than Mother Nature doing it, and the potatoes once. Yeah. So not bad, not bad at all. And of course the onions and the peas are doing awesome already because they're just like cruising.
Yeah, so, taking off.
But last fall I had to take my fence down because we were doing construction around the garden. So we got the new driveway put in and the addition to the driveway put in, and so now we get to put the fence back. So,
and now the fence.
Yeah, so I got
project.
I got my fingers crossed that the deer don't find the peas before we get the fence done.
Let's hope they don't listen to the show.
They better not listen to the show, or else we're gonna be in trouble.
Well, and today would be a perfect day to get things planted because looking at the extended forecast for this next week, you've got a chance of showers almost every day.
Yeah.
Temperatures so far, I mean, we've been saying, May 20th is kind of that date we're watching for.
That's
10 days
that's
from
our
now.
cutoff. That's our cutoff. Yep.
And right now, we're looking at temperatures staying only around maybe 37 Tuesday into Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So
not seeing frost for like the 10-day forecast.
Yeah.
Even though it does cool down, we get some chance of storm.
Yeah.
That's nice. Little cooler temperatures for May would be really good. It kind of slows the snow down. So it keeps the runoff a little bit more calm. So we kind of like that.
A lot to talk about this morning. This is almost one of those days where all of us, I think, are going to have such a long list of things that we want to do just to be outside. And now you just have to decide what's most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Mother's Day weekend. So we've got some great specials going on at Anderson. So we have gorgeous hanging baskets in stock right now. We just got 500 roses in, and they look amazing. Like, these are the best roses that I think we've ever had. And coming off the truck, they were dropping blossoms, and so we're a little bit concerned. But then as we looked closer at them, they're just completely covered with buds. And so they've got just tons and tons of flower buds on them. Yeah, and they're starting to open up. They look so good. So the roses look amazing. We've got hanging baskets. We've got lots of really nice chimes that make a great gift. And, of course, gloves and hats, and we've got like protective sleeves you can put on your arms so you don't get scratched by the roses or by the other plants that you're working in. So we have some really nice apparel for moms as well too. Gift certificates are always great. But we've got some citrus trees in, so we've got lemons and limes. And we didn't bring any oranges in, but we brought like some kumquats as well too. And so those make really great gifts. And I've got some gorgeous bougainvillea and some mandevilla, and these are more tropical plants, but they're in full bloom right now, and they look just absolutely amazing. And some jasmine, and the jasmine smell so good. Yeah, so some nice jasmine vines, and just some really great options in store right now. Lots of flowers for Mother's Day. Yeah, a lot of gorgeous flowers to plant outside, and some nice vines, and just a lot of cool things that could make some great gifts for Mom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And coming up today, a lot of excitement going to be taking place in downtown Logan. The kickoff of the Gardeners Market.
Gardeners Market, yeah. So this is the first weekend for the Gardeners Market, and they're right there on the county block is what we call it there. So right there by the county courthouse, and there's always something nice there at the Gardeners Market.
Starts at 9 o'clock, continues till right around 1. Yeah. So they wrap things up, and so head downtown and just enjoy it down around the county block, and then you can head over to Mark
Anderson's. Yeah,
that's our plans for this morning.
That's what we like, and a lot of fun happening on Center Street next week because to kind of companion the Gardeners Market, we've got the Kids Market coming downtown. So once a month, we're going to try and bring the Kids Market down, and it's going to go from 9 to 1. It'll be right there on Center Street. The street won't be closed, so they'll be on the sidewalks. So the street won't be closed, but the Cache Valley Kids Market's coming downtown.
So fun.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. All youth entrepreneurs that are doing their own businesses, and they have a wide variety of all kinds of different stuff. So it should be really interesting to see how that works out. Yeah,
very cool.
But it should make a really good companion for the Gardeners Market because they'll have very, very different stuff than you'll find at the Gardeners Market. So you can come down, spend some time at the Kids Market, spend some time at the Gardeners Market, just enjoy being downtown next weekend. Should be a lot of fun. So May 17th, Saturday, 9 to 1, Kids Market on Center Street. Yeah, should be a lot of fun. So, but the greenhouses are full at Anderson, so overflowing with vegetables, overflowing with flowers. We've got stuff literally strewn everywhere.
I bet.
Stuff everywhere. We got more trucks in yesterday too. And then our nursery's full as well too. Gorgeous trees, amazing shrubs, lots and lots of perennials. They're all just, in bloom right now too. So the greenhouses are full. Everybody's starting to plant seeds outside. Compost tea is brewing, so we got the compost tea going. Just a lot of great things happening at Anderson's, and it's a perfect weekend to come down and figure out what's going on so you can get your yard and garden going as well, too. Yeah.
Tilled one garden. I've got one more to till and start to put those seeds in. I was so tempted. I just kept thinking, I don't know if I want to risk it because we usually see some of the colder temperatures being right here down in the very bottom of the valley.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought, well, okay, I'll wait one more week. And then jump on it. So
now I did get a couple questions sent in by Todd already. So we do have a couple questions, but phone lines are open.
Yes, and we can take your calls all morning for the show. 753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. If you have a question about your garden, flowers, roses, trees, lawns, we got to talk. I think the biggest problem most of us are dealing with right now with our lawns is just trying to keep it mowed.
Yeah.
They just took off with all the moisture we've had.
Yeah, we got ours mowed last night, and it was just so green and lush and full. And I know our mowers were annoyed with us because it was pretty deep.
I love how this is the one time of the year that I can always say my yard looks as good as everybody else's, and I haven't had to water it all.
It's that time of year. But it really, really does make a difference to put that moisture aid, the Hydrotain or the Back to Green on the turf, because it will absorb and hold all the moisture that we get in the next couple weeks. And so you really won't have to turn your sprinklers on if you do that. And then once we get into the hot temperatures, it'll make your water much more effective and last longer, so you don't have to use as much. So we're talking you could cut your water back by 30 to 50% with an application of Hydrotain for at least 90 days. It'll last at least 90 days. Sometimes it'll last even longer, but it does make your watering so much more effective. So it penetrates deeper into the soil. The soil is able to absorb and hold it, so you don't have dry spots showing up. You'll get more even wetting of the soil, so you get more evenness all the way through. And in between the Back to Green, which lasts about 60 days, but it has a really high dose of iron in there. It'll really green your lawn up, make it look nice. And the Hydrotain, which will last 90 days, you can cut your water by 30 to 50%. That's a huge savings for people, huge savings. Where the Back to Green is like $30 for 10,000 square feet. I mean, that'll pay for itself in the first 2 weeks of saving water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how much money it will save you by using less water in your yard. So that seems to work out great. One of the questions that Todd sent in, though, is what's the difference between the bagged onions and the regular onions? And I think what Todd's asking here is we've got onions that are sets, so they're little round onion bulbs, but they're dry all the way through. And then we've got onion plants, which come in from Texas, and they have dug them up. They've got green tops on them still. They're smaller. And he's asking what the difference is between those two. Well, they've both been started from seed. So they both originated starting by seed. But the green onions, the ones that are growing, so the bundles of onions we get in from Texas, they don't stop their growth. They just dig them up. The roots kind of dry a little bit, but the onions are still alive. And they bundle those up. They put them in boxes. They ship them to us, and we sell them, and then you can replant them. And since their growth hasn't been stopped, they tend to grow larger over the season. They tend to keep longer, and they're much, much less likely to have split centers. And so you'll get longer keeping, larger onions, and more high quality onions as well too. The sets where they've been, like their growth has been stopped. They've grown to a certain size, which is usually nickel to quarter size. And then they stop the growth, they cut the tops off, and then they dry them. Those are just about as easy as it gets to transplant, because you can spill those on the ground, kick some dirt on top of them, and they just come up. And so they're very, very simple and easy to transplant and to get going. But since their growth was halted partway through, they are more likely to have split centers. They won't grow quite as large as the other ones, and they don't keep quite as long. And so those are the main differences between those onions. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go out to the phone lines. We have our first caller for this Saturday morning show here on the Garden Guide. Paul is joining us on the line from Idaho. Paul, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Haven't talked to you for a while.
I was going to say it's been a day or two, so you're doing all right?
We're alive.
Awesome. That's good. That's better than the alternative, right?
Well, it's true. I've got a question about some Frutalome applications. I'm going to be spraying today for dandelions.
Okay.
And how long do I need to let that set?
Which product are you using? Are you using like Weed Free Zone?
Yeah, Weed Free Zone.
On the Weed Free Zone is like your reentry limitation on the label, I think, is enough time for it to dry. But I like to do it in the evening when everybody is ready to go inside. So whether that's pets or whether that's kids, I'll wait till the late evening and say, okay, everybody, time to go inside. They go inside, spray, and then you've got all night long for it to cure before everybody can go back out the next day. And if you've done a really heavy application, you're concerned about your pets because they're like a little bit closer to the herbicide, you could even water it after the 12 hours, and it would still work perfectly because it would have plenty of time to be absorbed before the sprinklers came on the next day. Then if the sprinklers come on, it'll wash the residue off the grass, and as soon as it dries, you're good to go out.
Awesome. Second question.
Yeah.
I haven't fertilized yet.
That's okay.
And I'm just wondering, do I need to wait another day before I fertilize?
For Mother's Day.
For Mother's Day, yeah.
No. So now's a really good time to put your summer fertilizer on anytime this month going into the first part of June. And if you haven't fertilized, that's just fine as well too. Slow release nitrogen. So for this time of year, I really like the Southwest Green Maker from Frutalome. It's got a high dose of iron, slow release nitrogen in there, and a lot of potassium to help with water absorption and uptake for the turf. And the 23-316 is very, very similar. good coverage, great product. That iron really greens the lawn up, and you'll get an 8 to 10 week residual out of the fertilizer for your turf. So you'll get over 2 months of green out of it that way. But great time to put a fertilizer on right before it rains this next week, so it'd be perfect.
Well, I'm just hoping it rains up here. We've had a lot of them skip us.
Yeah, you've been a little drier than we have, so.
Yep. All righty, brother.
Wonderful.
Good chat.
Thanks so much for calling, Paul. You have a wonderful weekend, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
And that opens up a line at 753-KVNU if you have a question or a comment for Mark. And let's go right back out to the phone lines as Calvin is joining us on the line from Hyde Park. Welcome to the show, Calvin.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have 2 questions on lawn. One, when I bought the house, they'd brought in sod for the front of it.
Okay.
And then we planted the back of it by ourselves. Well, the front has all of a sudden got this, I guess, field grass growing in it. I've tried everything in the world to get rid of it. Is the only way to use Kills-All or something and then replant?
And reseed. There's nothing that will selectively kill that grass without killing the other grass effectively. And so it is a little bit difficult. But the pasture grasses or the field grasses that have snuck into your lawn, they're much taller than the regular grass, correct? Does it like stick up above the other grass?
Correct.
Yeah. So what we will recommend for people to do is we are going to use Roundup or Kills-All, but you don't have to treat the whole area. What I usually recommend is that you mow the lawn really close, like almost scalp it, cut it down really short, and then fertilize it either before or after that. But just put a good fertilizer out there to encourage some new growth, and then once you water it and get that really going, the pasture grass will grow much, much faster than the other grass. And so all of a sudden you've got 6 inches of growth taller on your weedy grass than you do have on your good grass. And when you get that and you've got some separation between the 2 types of grass, you can use a chemical resistant glove and a sponge or a brush of some sort, and you can use the Roundup or the Kills-All and just apply it to the tall grass. So if you're very, very careful, you can sponge it on there, you can wipe it on there. There's different ways to do it, but all you have to do is just make sure you just touch the taller grass with the Roundup or the Kills-All, and it will kill that grass without damaging the more desirable grass down below. It's a little slow and tedious and tiresome to do, but it actually works really well. You can selectively kill that. But what I would recommend, though, is if you do that and then you do kill out that weedy grass, make sure you overseed with some good turf grass to let it take its place. Because if you don't take its place with some new grass, the pasture grass might sneak back in.
Okay. Well, that brings in my second question. Is I'm getting ready to plant a new section of lawn and then reseed this area. What's your recommendation for the best grass seed?
Do you know what you planted the first time around in that back area? I assume it's the back area you're going to add to.
Well, we'll probably just overseed that area a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, but the front area, I have no clue. It was just a sod brought in.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably a Kentucky bluegrass because most of the sod is 100% Kentucky blue. Maybe 4 different varieties that they blend together. I really like to overseed with our Colorado Premium grass seed, and the Colorado Premium has 4 hybrid bluegrasses in it, so it already has 4 bluegrasses, but they've added 2 types of a turf type rye in with it, and the rye gives it a little bit more resilience, can handle a little bit more wear and tear. It's more drought tolerant. It is resistant to insects and diseases, and so it's a really good addition to a straight bluegrass turf because you don't really notice the different size of the blades because they're very, very similar in size. And the texture is very similar as well, too, so it feels just as soft. but it blends in really well. But then it gives you some more resilience and some more disease resistance and some more insect resistance. So it just kind of boosts the qualities of your grass, so it'll be a little bit better. So our Colorado Premium Mix would be perfect. You're talking 4 pounds per 1,000 square feet if you're planting brand new grass, and if you're overseeding, you're 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet. So it really goes a long way.
Okay, great. Well, thank you.
You're so welcome, Calvin. Good luck with killing out your pasture grass. I do have a really cool tool, and it's called the Red Weeder, and it looks like a hockey stick. But the hockey stick is empty in the middle, so like it's hollow. So you can put Roundup or Killzall in there, and then it has a big sponge on the bottom, and you can use it to wipe over the top of the tall grass. So it makes it a lot easier, so you don't have to crawl around on your hands and knees to do it. And so it's a really, really very helpful device. And once you put that Killzall or that Roundup in there, just make sure it doesn't drip all over the place. But once you get out there, it makes it really easy. So it's kind of like using a golf putter. You know, you can putt and just go over the top of the tall grass and not touch the lower grass down below. And it makes your job really, really fast. Yeah, so much, much quicker.
Well, great.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling, Calvin. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Phone lines open, 753-5868. If you have a question about your lawn or your garden this morning on KVNU's Garden Guide. And, you know, Mark, that brings up a really good question, because I know a lot of people, myself included, have not fertilized yet.
Yeah.
And there are a couple great blends of fertilizer that you can get put on your yard. Actually, I take that back. We did put down a fertilizer really early back in February when the snow melted.
When the snow melted, yeah. You were trying to get ahead of your neighbors, weren't you?
which is why we've had to mow so much over the last couple of weeks. But yeah, you know, if you're looking for a great blend to put down during the summer months, slow release fertilizer would be ideal.
Right. So the Green Maker from Fertilome is our kind of go-to for the summertime, because it has extra sulfur in it, which is great to lower the pH of the soil and free up the nutrient, make it available to the grass. Slow-release nitrogen, so it's a 10-week slow-release nitrogen. It has high potassium in there to really help with water absorption and uptake. And then it has 5% iron in there to give you a nice, deep, dark green color. And it's very similar to our 23-316 commercial fertilizer. That's our Anderson's Best. So, but those two would be great if you don't want to go after weeds. If you do want to go after weeds, though, then we have the Weed-Free Zone Weed and Feed
that has a pre-emergent.
Well, not the pre-emergent. It has like the post-emergent. So it'll kill. So it's going to kill dandelions and clover and mallow and thistles and morning glory, and it has the same fertilizer in it as the Green Maker. So it's the same fertilizer, but it has that broadleaf weed herbicide in there, and that's one where your conditions have to be right and your timing has to be good, because it needs to go on when the grass is a little bit damp. It needs to stay on for 24 hours. And then you can water it after the 24 hours. And so it has some conditions that you really need to meet for it to be effective at killing the weeds. So on when it's a little bit damp. So just turn your sprinklers on for 5 minutes on each station, just to get a little bit of moisture out there, and then put the Weed-Free Zone with fertilizer down. Yeah, so like Weed and Feed, and then you're going to leave it on for 24 hours. And then we're going to water.
And then you can water.
Then you water after that. Okay. And that's going to make it much more effective. And our daytime temperatures are perfect for that. So anytime between, 55 and 85 degrees, you can go ahead and use this product, and it won't burn your lawn. If it starts to get above, mid 80s, then it could be hot enough that it could damage your grass just a little bit. So we prefer, slightly cooler temperatures. Anything below 85 is like great.
Yeah, and so ideally you could put that on today.
Oh yeah.
We do have a chance of some showers coming in tomorrow afternoon, but see, you've got your 24 hours.
Yeah, you got your 24 hours. And the Weed-Free Zone works pretty quick. So even if you got 12 to 16 hours, it would still probably work for you. But the longer you can leave it on before it gets watered in, up to the 24, the better it's going to be. Okay. And then the one thing that we do stress is after you use a good weed killer, whether it's Weed-Free Zone or Weed Out or any of those weed killers on your lawn, and it kills the weeds that are in there. Some people's lawns have more weeds than grass in there.
Yeah, quite a few holes.
You have a lot of empty spots. overseed. Get some new grass out there so that the grass will take the place of the weeds that you just got rid of. Because if you don't, the weeds will be faster to germinate and come back in than the grass will be to spread out and fill in those gaps. And so it's very, very beneficial once you control your weeds that you get a little a little grass seed out there to take the place of the weeds that we just killed. So that's really, really helpful. And when you use a weed killer like that, really 72 hours after that, you could plant grass seed and it would not bother it at all. So 48 to 72 hours, because it's going to take 2 weeks for your grass seed to germinate right now.
Okay.
So it's just a little bit slower. By the middle of the summer, when it's 95 degrees outside and the soil's really warm and it's Pioneer Day, your grass will come up in 5 days. So you have to wait a little bit longer. But right now, just a couple days after you use the weed killer, you could go ahead and put new seed out there.
Okay.
No
Ideal.
No problem.
Excellent. Well, great calls so far, and we can take more calls as we head towards the bottom of the hour. Still a lot to talk about this morning on this Saturday.
I do have a few purple tomatoes left.
Oh, yeah.
Not very many. So we had a lot of people come in last weekend looking for that genetically modified tomato called the purple tomato. I have probably 6 or 8 plants left.
Okay.
So if you still want to try it, you better come find me today.
Okay, because they're going to be gone
they're
quick.
Disappearing. Yeah, they're disappearing, but it's called the purple tomato. And it's purple all the way through. It's a large cherry tomato. It's supposed to be the most nutritious tomato ever developed. Yeah, ever developed. So.
Okay. More to talk about coming up as the Garden Guide continues next here on KVNU. 30 minutes now after the hour, and with your KVNU News headlines, I'm Will Feelright. A Logan City police detective is being nationally recognized for her work in local elementary schools. Letitia Johnson is receiving the 2025 Floyd Ledbetter National School Resource Officer of the Year Award from the National Association of School Resource Officers. In an interview with News Talk KVNU, Johnson said she is still in shock but super excited about the recognition. She had no idea the staff at Adams Elementary School had even nominated her until she was invited to an assembly last month.
I was asking, well, what's this assembly for? And nobody had any idea. And I was like, okay, there's definitely something else going on. But I could have never imagined it was what it was. The kids were there and my family came, my mom, my husband, and some other family, as well as, everybody at the police department. It was amazing. It was really cool. And I was shocked.
The association will present the award officially on July 7th during a ceremony as part of its annual National School Safety Conference in Grapevine, Texas. Meanwhile, Stan Summers, a former commissioner for Box Elder County, was recently appointed by the Trump administration to serve as the USDA Rural Development State Director for Utah. U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins said that Summers will implement President Trump's America First agenda at USDA Rural Development, making sure the needs of America's farmers, ranchers, and producers remain priority number one. Now, during his time as a Box Elder County Commissioner, Summers also served as president of the United Association of Counties, along with the chair of the Utah Association of County Commissioners and Councils and the chair of the Bear River Association of Governments. Well, clear and warm, about a chance of some showers coming on Sunday and continuing into next week. I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News headlines.
Good morning. This is Chris Lewis. Overtime, the theme Friday night in the playoffs. We start in the NBA, where Aaron Gordon leads the Nuggets in overtime past the Thunder.
Ball arena crowd to its feet. Jokic gets to the paint. Down low to Gordon. Jumper. Yes! That ought to do it. Denver leads it by 9 with 1 minute to go in game number 3. Aaron Gordon.
Altitude Radio Network. Nuggets 113, Thunder 104. Nuggets lead the series 2-1. Gordon 22 points, 4 of 6 from 3, including the game-tying shot late in the fourth quarter. In the Eastern Conference, Donovan Mitchell leads the Cavs in a bounce back against the Pacers.
Cavs will come down the floor 94 feet from right to left. It's Strus, step for step with Nembhard, fires across the midcourt stripe. Mitchell rises in the lane, lays it off the glass for 2 with a foul. Donovan Mitchell cannot be stopped tonight here in Indianapolis.
Cavs 126, Pacers 104. Now Indiana still leads the series 2-1, but Donovan Mitchell 43 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists. We mentioned overtime, not just in the NBA. To the NHL, Florida wins in OT against Toronto.
Kulikov here on the near side gives out to Marchand to the far circle. A shot, and they score! It deflects out front, and the Panthers have won it in overtime. 5-4 the final score. The Panthers take game 3. Brad Marchand gets it to the net, and the Panthers win it in overtime tonight.
Then on 560 WQAM, Panthers win at 5-4 in overtime. Toronto still leads the series 2-1. And to round out the playoff action in the NHL, it was the Winnipeg Jets evening the series 1-1 against the Stars by winning 4-0.
Spring. It's time to get those old rusted vehicles moved. Call DD Auto and Salvage and get paid for moving that old rusted out junk vehicle. DD Auto and Salvage makes it easy and fast, paying you the most money possible. Pickup is available. DD Auto and Salvage in Logan wants to pay you today. Call 787-1204.
That's 787-1204 today.
See store for details.
From gardening to landscaping, it's the Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back to the Garden Guide here on KVNU. Is right now a beautiful 55 degrees with sunny skies. You know, you were mentioning about how you were in the garden last night. I was running up into the canyon because I kind of tend to do that every chance I get. Oh, it was just
Why
gorgeous.
would you do that, Will?
So
Why would
green.
you? Why would you go run up the canyon this time of year? It's terrible.
It's
terrible.
so green up there, and a little bit of snow still up on the ridge line, and yeah, just really beautiful time of year.
It is really pretty. So we did have a wedding this week. So my daughter got married.
Congratulations!
And we had it out in Paradise, actually Avon Orchard out there, and it was like the sun was shining, the sky was blue, everything was green. In the background, there's the mountains with snow on them. I mean, it was so pretty. Yeah, it was gorgeous. So you just couldn't get better weather than that. And then I would talk to them on the phone with my son last night, and they live down in Arizona, and they got married in July in Arizona. And I was like, you know, Mitchell, I'm sorry you couldn't make the wedding. You know, we understand you were here for graduation the week before, so that worked
Makes
great.
sense,
That works
yeah.
great. You know, that works great. It was not as hot at the wedding this week than it was at your wedding.
Oh, I'm sure.
I think it was 117 on his wedding day, and that was in 2019.
And you got to be wearing a suit and tie. Oh,
it was brutal.
Miserable.
It was brutal. I think it was like I'm guessing. I can't remember their anniversary specifically. 13th of July.
Oh, wow.
In Phoenix, and it was 117 degrees. It was so brutal.
That's hard.
So the wedding this week, I think it was like 70 degrees, and it was gorgeous. Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And the orchards were in bloom.
Oh, yeah.
So the blossoms were all on the apples, which makes me think we need to talk fruit trees.
Yeah.
We got to talk fruit trees because everybody should have been spraying for fire blight. And if you haven't sprayed for fire blight, you need to treat your trees with Garden Foss to prevent that from spreading through your trees. And USU Extension has put out the spray dates for Cache County. And they're a little sooner this year than normal. So spray dates basically Memorial Day weekend. So 23rd through the 26th is kind of like the start
for the first
start date for spraying here in Cache Valley. So normally it's the first week of June. This year it's moved up about a week. So just be prepared that we probably need to be spraying that last weekend.
In May,
not the first weekend in June. So it's that time to start thinking about spraying apples and pears for codling moth. And there's some really good options out there. So we've got Sayonara, we've got Sevin, we've got the new Bug Blaster Lambda Silohethrin, we've got the Fruit Tree and Plant Guard from Bonide, we've got the Fruit Tree Spray from Fertilome. So you've got some organic options as well as some synthetic options that give you a little bit longer residual, so you don't have to spray.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's some good options out there. But get on your calendar. It is going to be the 23rd through the 26th of May to start your summertime spray.
Okay.
Yeah, summertime spray.
Now, phone lines are open. We can take your calls, your questions for Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. 435-753-KVNU. That's 435-753-5868 for a question for Mark. And, of course, it's Mother's Day weekend, Mark. And a lot of us are thinking about, ideas for mom, things that you can do for mom. And you mentioned earlier that Anderson's just received a huge shipment of roses in. And you've got some beautiful hanging baskets.
Yeah, so the roses we have grown in California. And so they are a month ahead of where we would be if we grew them locally here. Yeah, because just the weather. And they come in, and I unloaded them off the truck, and they're on these nice big tall pallets, so they're stacked, so that doesn't damage the roses. It's really quite unique how they do it. And I was pulling those pallets off the truck, and you could just smell. You could just smell the roses in the truck, and it smelled so good. And then they are just absolutely covered with blossoms, just completely covered. And we've got every color you can think of, and all kinds of different styles. And we brought in 500 roses for Mother's Day, so they look absolutely gorgeous. But we have some really great fruit trees as well, too. We've got some awesome flowering shrubs. We've got bougainvillea and mandevilla, and we've got citrus trees, and we've got hanging baskets just filling the entire greenhouses. So greenhouses are full of vegetables, full of flowers, full of hanging baskets. Some really great ideas for gifts for mom. For Mother's Day weekend. Yeah, great time.
Now, you bring up roses. For those who have roses, and of course we're starting to come in where those roses are going to start taking off, what's the best way to fertilize and treat those, trim them back a little bit?
Right. Usually around the second week of April through now is a really good time to prune your roses, and you want to be fairly aggressive pruning the roses. So you want to take a lot of the growth from last year off, because that growth won't produce roses. They only produce on new growth. And so we prune them fairly aggressively and then fertilize them very regularly. So most rose food, they recommend about every 6 to 8 weeks. In our area, we recommend you go a little bit more, 4 to 6 weeks. So fertilize every 4 to 6 weeks.
Almost every month.
So I usually tell people, okay, if you fertilized on the 10th of April, we're going to do the 10th of May, 10th of June, 10th of July, 10th of August, and then we're done for the year. So we're going to fertilize all the way through the first part of August, and then don't fertilize anymore, because at that point, going into September and October, we want them to go dormant. We don't want them to just keep flourishing, but they'll put on a really great show for fall for you when it's cooling down. They'll really start blooming again if you do that August fertilization.
Okay.
But there's fertilizers that have an insecticide in there. There's fertilizers that have disease control in there, or a combination of both. So there's liquid fertilizers that you can use. There's granulated. There's some that have insecticide prevention and disease prevention just built right into them. And that's kind of a nice way to do it. So if you're fertilizing every month, and you're doing the rose food with systemic insecticide in there, it'll kind of prevent almost all your insects from bothering them throughout the season if you're doing that monthly application. And the disease control is really helpful as well too. It lasts about a month to 6 weeks also. So it's kind of a 3-in-1 type product, or a 2-in-1 type product, where you can kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone
all together.
Yeah, it's really helpful. But the key is to be consistent and to prune. So prune to start off with, and then every time they bloom, you prune those spent flowers off, or you pick the flowers and bring them in and enjoy them inside.
Trim them back.
Yeah, because the more you prune them and the more they grow, the more flowers they produce. And so the flowers come on that brand new growth. So every time they bloom, prune that off to encourage more flowering, and you'll get more flowers off your roses that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
435-753-KVNU, 435-753-5868 if you have a question or comment for Mark of Anderson Seed and Garden. And In addition to Mother's Day with roses, and we've talked about fruit trees a little bit, but also it's a good reminder, too, as you're fertilizing your roses, to also be fertilizing your fruit trees.
Yes.
We talked about spraying them, but, so many of us, myself included, I went years without ever fertilizing our fruit trees, and I started wondering, why aren't these growing?
Why aren't they producing like they used to?
You know, I thought I was just supposed to drop it in the ground and my job was done.
We forget that, those trees need nutrition just like we do. And if we're not providing them the nutrition, they're not going to provide us with the fruit that we want. And so throughout the growing season, especially in the early spring, it's a great idea to put a combination fertilizer with micronutrients and minerals out there to try and boost the soil around your fruit trees, because we just think that they're magically going to produce fruit every year without us having to feed them at all. And we definitely want to do that. So there's some great fertilizers made specifically for fruit trees that have a full combination of the macronutrients as well as the micronutrients in there. Very easy to apply. You can just broadcast it out. I mean, even this weekend would be a great time to broadcast that out. Let Mother Nature water it in. It's like you just don't have to do all the work.
Else.
Yeah, just broadcast it out. Get it underneath the trees where the drip line is. That's where all those feeder roots are. And if you really want to boost your trees, drench them with kangaroo roots or with the Bigfoot, and all of a sudden your root system's gonna double. Like those fine root hairs will just like take off like crazy, and those are the roots that pick up the water and pick up the nutrient and provide that to the larger roots that will deliver it to the tree, that will deliver it to the branches and to the fruit as well too. So it's a really great idea to boost those trees with some microbes and some mycorrhiza to really get the root systems as healthy as possible. So don't forget, Gardeners Market starts this week as well too. And next week we have the Kids Market on Center Street from 9 to 1. So a lot of really fun things happening and coming up here on Center Street. And we're almost to the point where it's time to start planting everything. So I'm thinking about doing my beans and my corn this week. So if the weather cooperates, might even try and do it this weekend before the storms come in, because then all of a sudden in 10 days I'll have beans and corn
already starting to come up.
Beans and corn coming up.
All right. Let's go out to the phone lines and answer some calls here on the Garden Guide. We have Kathy joining us first from Idaho. Welcome to the show, Kathy.
Good morning. I have a question about the roses. Is there some kind of a spray fertilizer that you can put on? I kind of can't get down this year to dig.
Great question. There's a liquid that you don't spray on, but you mix it up in a watering can, and then you give each rose about a quart of the mixture that you make, and it will last for the 4 to 6 weeks, and it has an insecticide as well as a disease control in it. So then all you have to do is just water the roses, each one with a quart of your mixture, and away you go.
Okay, what's it called?
It's made by Bayer, and it is insect. Let's see, I'm trying to remember what it's called. So it's just like the Rose Care package that they do, and I've got it in quarts in concentrate, and I also have it in like half gallons in the concentrate. And it's made by Bayer, and it's the Rose Care. And I can't remember the name of the product off the top of my head. So,
all right, I'll probably be in find out.
Yep.
Also, so I have these roses, and I never know what is old growth and what's new growth. How do you tell the difference? I just get out there and go, oh well, I guess I'll cut this. It's big.
So if you have like Floribundas or Grandifloras or hybrid tea roses, and they're the most common ones that will produce flowers pretty much all summer long. You basically prune everything off except for about 4 to 6 main canes, and I leave those about 10 inches to 12 inches tall, and everything else goes. Yeah. So one of my neighbors down the street had some older roses, and they hadn't been pruned for a couple of years, and she was very, very kind and very thoughtful, and she asked me if I would come and prune her roses for her. And I said, absolutely, that'd be no problem. And I went, and she wasn't home, and so I pruned all of her roses for her, and then I left, and of course I did not charge her for anything, I just did it just because I loved her, and 2 hours later, I get this call from her, and she's like crying.
In tears.
Yeah, she's in tears because I've just hacked her roses to pieces. And I went over there and I like held her hand and I said, it's going to be just fine. This is how I've never pruned my roses like this before. And it's like, they will be the best roses you've ever had. I promise, it's not going to kill them. They'll be great. And then we fertilized them together, and I reassured her. And sure enough, by summer, she called me and she's like, they are so gorgeous. They have been absolutely, amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. But it about broke her heart.
Scary. Okay, you were talking about a fruit tree fertilizer that you just broadcast and throw all over the place.
Right.
What would that be?
So there's a fertilizer that Fertilome makes, and it's called Fruit Citrus, and it's the fruit citrus food. Yeah, and it's got micronutrients in there as well as the major nutrients, and it's a 3 to 4 month slow release fertilizer, so you can broadcast that out just underneath the trees. I also like the ProGrow 365, which is a full season long fertilizer, so it lasts 6 to 12 months. And that's got all kinds of extra goodies in there as well, too. So that's a really nice one. It is a little bit more expensive, but it does last an entire season. So that's my go-to for my fruit trees, but it is a little bit more expensive. So,
do you put it directly under the tree or out to the drip line or on the edge of the tree?
I use my broadcast spreader, and I go up and down between the rows of my fruit trees, and I just broadcast it all the way underneath the trees. And if it gets close to the trunk, that's fine. If it's out by the drip line, that's great. I just try and get it all the way through there. But of course, it feeds all the weeds as well too. So then I put Cazaron down, so it kills all the weeds, so I don't have to worry about it. So
you put which do you put down first, the Cazaron or the?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah. So. Great combination, that Cazaron and fertilizer. Yeah, wonderful for the trees.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It.
Thank you, Kathy. Have a wonderful Mother's Day.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
And we have Sandy joining us on the line from North Logan. We'll just stay on the phone lines, but lines are open, 753-5868. Still have 9 minutes to get more calls in. So call in now, and we should be able to still squeeze you into the show. 753-KVNU. And Sandy, thanks so much for holding. Welcome to the show.
Yes. I've got a question. I've got lilacs, and right now, of course, this is the best time of year. They're awesome. They smell great. Everything's looking good. But by midsummer, I've got white mildew all over the leaves.
Yes.
What's the best way to get that off?
Yeah. So after your lilacs are done blooming, go ahead and prune the spent flowers off. And if it's really a big shrub, you can just get as much as you can. You don't have to get like every single one. But it is really healthy to prune the flowering shrubs that bloom really early in the spring before, the 1st of June, to prune them after they're done blooming. Because if you prune them in the fall, you'll cut some of your flowers off. So we want to prune those like right after they're done blooming. Forsythia, lilacs, beauty bush, all the shrubs that are blooming right now, we're going to prune those afterwards. And that will actually help with the mildew a little bit too. But as soon as they're done blooming, I would recommend you spray them with a systemic fungicide. So either F-Stop would be great. There's one out there that's called a liquid systemic fungicide. It's got propiconazole in it. That one's really great as well too. Those would be great products to prevent the mildew, and it'll work on like 9-barks, and it works on maples, and it works on the lilacs, and a lot of the plants that are kind of susceptible to the powdery mildew. And we want to do it once in May, and then once again the first part of June, and you should be good for the rest of the year.
Okay.
All right.
So early, just so once in May and then like a couple weeks later.
Correct. Yeah. And it's because we're getting like a higher humidity right now because we've got the little storms coming through, and we're getting cold nights and warm days, and it's just like perfect conditions for the mildew to start to take off. So right now that the leaves on the maples have come out fully and the leaves on the lilacs have come out fully, we could spray those here in the next week or two for the first application. And then about 3 weeks later, hit it again with that systemic. And then it should protect them for about 6 weeks after that second spray. And then by the time we're into the hot, dry part of the summer, the mildew's not going to spread. But it might pop up again in like late August, early September. So kind of watch for that as well too.
Okay. Does sprinkling them, if my sprinklers are hitting the lilacs, is that bad, or is that just not a big deal?
It's not bad, but it does kind of create the environment where you are going to have that higher humidity, and so so that can encourage it a little bit. But they need the water too. So just try not to hit them too much. And really, once the warm, dry part of the summer kicks in, we don't have so much mildew. It's now and through the first part of June that it really gets going.
Okay. Well, good to know. Hey, thank you so much.
Thanks for calling. You have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
And we're going to talk about Mother's Day here one more time here. Before we do, though, let's go back out to the phones. And Todd has been holding on the line from Beaver Dam. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, guys, I've got some roses, and I've heard that coffee grounds, roses really like coffee grounds. Is that the truth, or should I not waste my time?
It is an old wives' tale. Yeah, you hear.
Coffee grounds are a great source of, organic matter to put out there. I don't know if the caffeine really makes the roses bloom more, or it gets them more excited or anything, but any type of organic matter is really good for the roses. Roses like to be mulched, and so a chunky bark mulch or even a shredded bark mulch is really, really helpful for the roses on the ground. Coffee grounds could essentially provide the same type of mulch. If you're using a lot, you'd have to drink a lot of coffee to do that. But the coffee grounds, composted are excellent. So they'd be a great source to put into your compost pile. I prefer to compost all that stuff before I put it on the roses instead of just putting the straight coffee grounds on there. So
okay,
if you can compost them, that just frees the nutrient value up in there as well too. So
okay. I've got 2 peach trees that I've been really trying hard to keep the borers out of, and I picked up that termite control liquid that you have there.
Oh yeah.
How often should I drench that the bark or the trunk on those?
Great question. So usually we'll do one application during the dormant season, either really late in the fall or really early in the spring, and then we recommend one right now between Mother's Day and Memorial Day. And then one about the middle to the latter part of June, so almost a month later. And that's kind of when the adult borers are coming out of the trees, laying their eggs, and kind of starting the cycle all over again. So do one in the next couple of weeks, Todd, and then again about a month later in June, and away we go.
Okay. Last question. I've got some sugar maples. Big mistake. They don't like my area. They get chlorotic a lot.
They do.
I've been giving them tree treats, but I hate to do that too much because drilling holes weaken there.
Right.
Yeah. Should I just drench it with some iron?
You can do the EDDHA iron and do the soil treatment with that. Mix up 1 ounce to 2 ounces per inch of trunk diameter. But the tree treats, you can actually put them back in the same holes from last year, so you don't have to drill more holes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so take some of the older holes and drill those back out, and you can put the implants right back into the holes, and that will work great too. I prefer the tree treats because that way the tree's getting the iron right directly into its circulatory system, where if you put it on the ground, sometimes you hope that it picks it up. So
yeah, these are about 3 to 4 inch diameter. Should I just put 2 tree treats?
Probably 2 treats would be ample. Yeah. Maybe 3. And I usually don't start putting the tree treats in until they're about 3 or 4 inches. So they're really, really good for larger trees. You could do a chelated iron on the ground around those if you wanted to give them a year to kind of recuperate a little bit more.
Alrighty, I'll do it.
Super.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks for the call, Todd.
Tell everybody Happy Mother's Day in your sphere.
In Beaver Dam.
Thank you.
Okay, sure will. Thanks so much.
See you, Todd.
Some great calls this morning, and we have just a minute left, Mark, so we want to mention again with Mother's Day, we've got the roses, hanging baskets on sale at Anderson's.
Hanging baskets look amazing. Yeah, amazing hanging baskets. Got some fun tropical plants in for Mother's Day, so bougainvillea and mandevilla and citrus trees and some jasmine, just some really fun, cool things that are all in bloom at Anderson's. Lots of perennials, lots of shrubs that are looking gorgeous, and we've got more coming in the future. So we're still early in the season. I mean, it's like
Oh, yeah.
It's like the second weekend of May, and I'm like, oh, we don't even have like hibiscus in yet. And it's like those won't come till, for another week or two. So there's more stuff coming, and got great fruit trees and gorgeous shade trees and flowering trees in stock right now. So we're just ready for spring at Anderson's.
Okay.
Yeah.
And don't forget the Gardeners Market will be starting at 9 o'clock this morning in downtown Logan, right around the county block, around the historic Cache County Courthouse. Yeah. That'll be going on until 1. So great time to head downtown and enjoy downtown Logan, and head over to Anderson Seed and Garden while you're there.
And the kids market next week.
Yeah,
on Center
right
Street.
on Center Street.
Yeah, 9 to 1 next week on Center Street, right in front of Anderson's, and we'll be there.
All right.
Yeah.
And, of course, to all of the women out there, we hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day, and join us next week for the Garden Guide here on KVNU.
News Talk KVNU, Logan, the voice of Northern Utah.